Marketers don't need a crystal ball when they have real-time insights. Let your data lead. Visit the page to learn more.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Ad Age Remotely. I'm Janine Poggi, Assistant Managing Editor here at Ad Age. Thanks so much for joining us. And a special thank you to our sponsor, Salesforce, for helping to make this live stream happen. As Madison Avenue looks to shift ad dollars to Black-owned media companies, ReachTV has emerged as an attractive opportunity for brands. ReachTV has more than 2,500 TV screens in 90 airports in North America and the UK, and airs uplifting content as well as programming from networks like A&E, AMC, and the NFL Network. Joining me today to discuss the efforts being made by the ad world to diversify their media plans is ReachTV founder and CEO, Lynnwood Bibbens. Hi, Lynnwood.
Thank you for having me on. I'm
Thanks.
excited to talk to you and everyone else today.
Thanks for joining us, and thanks for joining us from London. We much appreciate it.
Yes, it's been great having a trip across the pond here. Back in New York later this week.
Well, before we get started, for those of you watching at home, if you like what we're doing here on Ad Age Remotely, please like, subscribe, share, or retweet this post. And feel free to leave comments, questions on our social channels, and we will try to get to them during this conversation. So, Lynnwood, it's been a big year for ReachTV with the company striking new programming deals, new ad deals. What do you think really drove momentum in 2021?
What drove momentum in 2021 was what we started in 2020. In the pandemic, we kind of went to zero, and we really said to ourselves, what are we? And we went with our partners. Our partners wanted us to be here, and we were able to cut our costs by over 70%, keep all of our staff, and be able to focus on two things, which was innovation and collaboration. So we built our tech stack, make sure that was correct and it was perfect and we could integrate it anywhere. And then we went and sat with our partners and really understood what their goals were. And then that was where the collaboration became about both of us and all of us coming out of this together. And I think that foundation led to the opportunities in 2021.
Well, I mean, of course, with being based in 90 airports, we can't talk about this without talking about the travel business. Of course, at the start of the pandemic being completely decimated. How did you sort of navigate that time and emerge from it as travel began to, slowly roll back?
I think we just were committed. We knew some facts. We knew that 10% of all GDP globally is travel. We knew that 330 million people were employed in the travel industry. So it was back for the world. And if we're going to really grow and come back from that, travel had to be at the forefront. So we focused on really like, how do we partner and make sure we were set to grow when it came back. And then we just kept staying consistent. We were programming. We stayed consistent with everything we did with our partners. And we started our internal sales team, was able to start to get some wins in third quarter of 2020. And then right into fourth quarter that helped set the foundation going into 2021.
So how are you thinking about navigating the latest variant, and what are you seeing in terms of the travel industry heading into the holidays?
The latest variant has, in European countries, it's really, put a damper on certain things. But, since we're 99% US right now, as we're just ramping up our international expansion, we've seen nothing. We've seen the travelers are resilient. They already have the plan. They know what to do. We've already done it. We've been doing it for now over a year plus. The projections for this holiday season and these numbers where we're going to be at, 90, we're at 92%. So we've seen consistency coming out of this. And we see the Christmas season surpassing all of 2019. So we've kind of put a stamp in the ground, so travel's back. It's a little different than it was, but it's back. So we're focused on how do we engage that traveler, provide them the same service, although it being a little bit different than it was pre-pandemic.
Can you elaborate on that? How have you changed how you're connecting with the traveler? What does that look like now, and how are you thinking about it moving into 2022?
It's been amazing because I'm older,
Good
and
for
I loved QR codes when I was a youngster. So seeing a tech or a technology that was something I used back in the '90s, mid '90s, come back and being something at the forefront, as simple as a QR code. It's simple and amazing all at the same time because that allows people to engage. And I think the travel process has become one that you're one touch, and your touch is your phone. That's the only thing you really want to touch outside of, on that beginning way of getting people back into the airports was using the phone as a way to connect through the entire process. Your boarding pass, the way you order, the way you can get things delivered to you. And so we've engaged that. We have QR codes that pop up on our screens all the time. If you're in one of our bars, you can order using the QR code from the screen, so you don't have to touch a menu. And also, you get more information. You can continue watching shows by scanning a QR code. So we've taken that QR, made it, and taken advantage of that. And we have some big announcement coming up that even takes it a step further on the QR codes, where it goes into your wallet and they have multiple offerings. So it's been really fun to be able to integrate and allow people to use their phone to navigate themselves throughout the travel journey.
Outside of QR codes, is there any other technology that you're really excited about that you're seeing how you might be able to apply to what Reach TV is doing, or any other forms of innovation that really are exciting you right now?
Well, ReachTV was built on the basis of building a cloud-based television networks. What that allows us to do is we have the ability not only to program nationally, but we can go by DMA, by terminal, by gate, by location, by screen. By having that type of technology, it allows us to program that down to that granular. And with one of our announcements you talked about, with having NBCU and having that type of, I'm going to put in New York something different than I'm going to put in LA. There's something different I'm putting in Miami, all in real time. That's built on our architecture of how we built our network. And then that we are API first built platform. So everything we do is on API. So for us, we're able to integrate location data, knowing you're there, when you're moving around, where your journey takes you. We're able to integrate POS data to let you know what's the top thing selling, and we're going to use that in our shows that we create out of our new studio. So I think that the technology and the data in real time has allowed us to be innovative.
Yeah, and just for those watching at home, Reach TV did strike a deal with NBCU earlier this year. It brings you into NBCU's sales process, if I'm understanding correctly, with some data capabilities, things like that. If you want to elaborate anymore, I think I explained that correctly.
Yeah, I mean, we're it's an all-encompassing kind of a 360 partnership where we get to be a part of that NBCU family. Linda has been amazing. Linda Yacarino. She's really putting her stamp on our partnership and our relationship and really pushing that. Laura Mullen I've known forever and is she's bad. She kills it. And I think what we're building together is they understand the value of the traveler. And because somebody's watching NBC at home, that same person travels. So you're just extending where you show that same person that you're targeting and everywhere they go. So we talk about the journey, your passenger journey, customer journey. We also look at like when we asked what was the top shows to female founders, for example. One of the shows they used to the three in there was Bravo, Real Housewives, those type of the Kardashians. So they have those franchises, and one of the other franchises they have is Top Chef, which is perfect for our airport. So we've done Top Chef, Last Chance Kitchen. So we've really focused on entertaining our viewer on their journey. I will say one thing that's been great is also we're all about truth and positivity. So we don't do a lot of things that other networks carry. I think you get enough of that on your phone. You don't need it from us. And because of that, we've really focused on the entertainment side of what we're delivering to that viewer on their journey. So that's NBC's been great. They have a library, second to none. So it's been amazing to be able to have support of them and a partnership with that, so we can grab those type of content.
In terms of the advertising opportunities that have come about, I know it's early in the deal, but what have you seen emerge, as you guys are working together?
360 deals, right? So when you look at opportunities across, somebody wants to buy today, now they can buy today in home, in airport, and all the way around. We could do customized content together, which obviously they have amazing production capabilities, and so do we. So it allows for stuff that has happened already to be uniquely integrated. And we can even tell the story of a branded piece that normally wouldn't air on, network television, a 3 minute cool story. Nobody that's going to be 30-second ad there, but a 3 minute story on Reach. So looking at it differently, but providing the brand an ultimate experience is what we've been able to do together.
So I want to say hi to some of you who are watching at home. Thanks so much for tuning in. We have Kim from France, Gladys from Nigeria, Jordan from New York, and David from Chile. Thank you so much for tuning in. And as a reminder, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to post them and we will try to bring them into the conversation. So Lynnwood, earlier this year, CNN actually announced that they would move out of the airport business, and Reach TV kind of swooped in and took over some of these screens. Can you discuss why you saw it as an opportunity and why you feel strongly to double down on the space?
I felt strongly. One, I think that when they left, I would say I looked at it as they had a 30-year run, right? So for 30 years, they did this, and they decided it was time to move on. The reason we did it is we were built this way. We were actually built for our technology is built for today. A traditional television network wasn't set up to program down to the screen, and it wasn't cloud based to give pulling data in real time. So we were built in a way to capture and to take advantage of this travel, whereas they were a traditional television network. So I got where they were going. The other thing is, this is our core business, whereas this was an add-on to them. So I understood the differences between them and us. And to be blunt, I saw it as an opportunity to build our team as well. I'm always about the people because we can figure out the content together. And we brought on their entire network ops team because they were amazing. We brought on other people from there, and then recently we just hired Allison Hashimoto, who's there. She was there basically running for the last 2 years, CNN Airport. She's now our EVP and COO.
Great. I want to talk a little bit about opportunities beyond the airport screens. But before we do, we have a message from our sponsor, Salesforce.
Behind every great marketing strategy is great marketing data. Let your data lead. Visit the page to learn more.
I'm Janine Poggi, and I'm here with Reach TV founder and CEO, Lynnwood Bibbens. Lynnwood, can we talk a little bit more about what you're thinking about beyond the airport screens? Is there other opportunities for Reach TV to grow into other areas, and what does that strategy look like moving into the new year?
Well, I mean, I think the global expansion is already in process, in process and starting. And that's also not just airport. That will be, London is a big train, commuter, type of environment, and other countries as well. But I also think that going taking a step back, Reach TV's focus this year and going into 2022 is our own original programming. We've really built out our production capabilities, not only in studio, but with co-productions with, major production companies, as we really want to build our originals, our own IP, and ramp that up because we know our audience and we want to build content for them.
And is that only living on the Reach TV, like screens in the airports and screens in other locations? Are you thinking about how that could live on our phones or other places like that content might go to?
So we're launching our app in about 3 weeks here, right as it travels, as the new year pops in. That will have, you can scan and continue watching 10, 12 episodes. You'll have original series in there. You'll have special offerings that you can grab and take advantage of in the airport through our app. We're looking at it by that way. We're also looking at it as our partnership with NBC as a possibility of we'll make a show that lives on Reach, but may also live on USA or live on Peacock or live on Zumo. So we're looking at it as the IP as great IP, and then where it lives, it may live anywhere. And that opportunity has already happened. We've already done some of those things and produced that content. And we're seeing great demand for people wanting those type of series that are core to our audience.
And also, you struck new types of programming deals. You have football games now. You struck a deal with the NFL Network. Could you talk a little bit more about the move into sports and how you're thinking about that?
I think live sports and live anything, it was key. If we were gonna, as we grew up and turned into I'll use my London term, proper television network, having live sports was key. Having the NFL being the top brand, it was essential to launch with NFL. The NFL has been great to work with, amazing to work with, to be honest with you, and I think the travelers wanted it. As Demetria, who just came on, our new head of marketing, where worked at Atlanta Airport, she used as a phrase, "How do you airport?" Well, we found through the data that people that know that there's an NFL game will come 45 minutes earlier if they know they have the game, or they'll book travel on days knowing that the NFL will be playing. So that was such a great impact that having Thursday night games, Sunday 1 o'clock, Sunday 4 o'clock, Sunday night, Monday night, and then getting the playoffs and Super Bowl, it really changes the way everyone, and you talk about agencies and brands, look at Reach TV.
Are there interesting opportunities leading into Super Bowl for Reach TV as it relates to an advertising perspective? Are there opportunities for brands to extend their campaigns, brands that are Super Bowl advertisers, things like that, that you're in conversations with?
Tremendously, both with our internal team and also in partnership with NBC, and also just in general. I think what's happened is it's made people realize the value of the network, and it's opened up opportunities to tell stories starting now that lead to the Super Bowl, right? So we're getting those from brands that want to tell the story of fans from certain cities and watch that process through and whittle itself down. Um, and I think that the other thing is when you look at the airport travelers and how many, we're getting that type of Super Bowl uh, audience every month. So it's pretty amazing when they bring it back and think about it. They start to understand who they are, and when they understand that our travelers are basically the tastemakers on the go. They're the ones that are driving their circle. So you really want to target that person because that's the person spending. That's the person that influences their circle. So brands are leaning in.
So leading up to this year's upfront, we really saw brands and ad agencies make pledges to allocate more dollars to Black-owned media companies. Did the ad world make good on these promises?
It's a good question. I'll answer it for me. Couple people have been amazing, have stepped up. I mean, PK, Philippe Pikowski, and the IPG team was the first one right away. Um, uh, Danny, I mean, just the whole team over there. Kathy, I couldn't say enough about them and their commitment right from the beginning. And then, by the way, I should also say PK had some really insightfulness prior to anybody knowing what his plan was. So I love how his mind was thinking. And then recently, I mean, not recently, but also equally, which we haven't publicly talked about, was PMX Publicists. They were not only, it wasn't even a gray area. It was, we're doing this, and this is how we're going to do it. Let's work together and figure it out. Um, there's that side of leaning in, and then there's a lot of what I saw, and it wasn't necessarily for Reach because we have the measurements with the epicenters and Nielsen's and stuff, but I heard a lot of comments in the Black media upfronts that measurements weren't going to matter and people are going to lean in for this and that. I see a lot of the opposite. And I won't name names, but I see a lot of people gave lip service um, and not following through. And I was shocked by it. Um, But I've worked with a lot of the Black-owned media to get their content on our network to help them get the numbers they need, so that they can't be used. That can't be used against them.
We actually had a question from a LinkedIn listener. What, if any, has been the impact of Aussie media on these efforts? You mentioned the measurement comment, how initially we heard the same thing, that perhaps ad agencies and brands are going to think differently about how they would value Black-owned media companies that weren't Nielsen or ComScore measured or things like that. Um, are brands and agencies doing additional due diligence as a result? Have they changed their stance on those measurement requirements that they kind of put forth maybe late winter, early spring?
I think I've had some very direct conversations about that when it happened. Um, my initial, I don't know, full disclosure, I'm not friends with him or anything, so it just was an observation. I thought it went pretty far, pretty fast, and I was kind of shocked at the speed of where it went. And I thought there was immediate ramifications. There was companies that don't have measurements immediately impacted by that, from campaigns that were lost or requirements in a campaign that were exact opposite of what they said in the upfronts. And this is my problem with a lot of the in general talk about black media, and the commitment is you're putting unrealistic expectations on delivery without committing dollars to it. So it's impossible for someone of certain small size of a business to deliver those type of measurements, studies, everything you're asking for without your dollars to commit to it. So I think that was the only negative impact. I saw it as an excuse. Um, but again, I think there's an education process on there. And I will say one other thing, and I just remiss if I didn't say it. I'm very nervous about what happens this year. There's a lot when we were remote. What happens when we're not remote? And these same black-owned media companies have to compete with millions of dollars spent in an upfront, and they can't afford to do that. The commitment's not there. How are they going to be afford to do an upfront? It's I think you're going to be caught in the middle of I don't know. I'm curious. I'm willing to help. I'm raising my hand saying I'm willing to jump in, but I don't know the answer to that.
You mean to even put on like the actual show and things like that to be able to
Correct.
go out to advertisers to get their attention to see put out like what programming is coming, things like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big show, and it costs up to millions of dollars to do those shows. How's that going to be possible?
Did you see an uptick in ad commitments during this year's upfront? Did you guys go into the marketplace in a bigger way, and did you get reciprocation of those efforts?
Yeah, I mean, to be blunt, it was the first year we were in the upfront, so
Okay.
we had trying to be, and this is the first year we were in the upfront. So, our business was really brand direct, and integrated into content. This is the first year we really had I would say, a strong lean in from agencies, strong buy-in from the agencies, and commitment. And I'll tell you, it's such a big difference because now I have predictable revenue, and then now I can go make original programming, and now I can go do certain things because I know what my revenue is going to be, and that's the advantage when you bring black owned media into this and you give them an opportunity to predict their revenue. They can then build their business. That's why it's so important.
What work still needs to be done to ensure Black and minority-owned media companies are not overlooked as brands go into the planning process for 2022?
I think there's two things, and one probably nobody talks about. Um, all of us in black owned media have to understand what our ask is, right? Sometimes we're just so excited to get in the room that we're asking for stuff that is not enough, right? And or we're asking for something that is typically bought for a million. We're saying we'll do it for 130 grand, and what it does is it puts doubt on what you're going to deliver, and you're not asking for the right thing. And so I think there should be more education and partnership between all of us to understand what we should be asking for. That way we can go in and present the right way. So that's number one. Um, Number two, I think agencies need to pull more of us into that upfront and really make the commitment with the teams to help guide us on what to present to the brands. And I guess I'd add the third, which is bring the brand into the conversation in the beginning. Because what happens is if you don't bring the brand into that conversation, then it goes the media company presenting, the agency presenting, you get a no 2 months later, and then you try to do it again, and next thing you know, the year's over. Right? We can't survive on hopes and maybe it's going to come. We need the commitment so that we can really build a business.
I know there were a lot of talk early on in the spring. You mentioned the two agencies, Magna and Publicis, who you've struck these larger deals with. Has the momentum slowed at all, or are you still seeing the same level of interest from maybe like last spring?
The momentum for ReachTV is increased dramatically but that's because of our business. I mean, black-owned media, but remember where we are. We're really serving the highest targeted audience with the highest amount of income. It's like a buddy of mine said, if you don't want to advertise and be integrated into the airport, just get out of the advertising because that's the audience everybody wants, right? So I'm probably at a distinct advantage of who my audience is. What I've seen is the brands who've made commitments are really anxious to make sure that they deliver what they've committed. Um, I see some agencies getting in their own way, for lack of a better word. I can't blame them. You're making a monumental shift from a tanker trying to move like a speedboat. You're going to have some issues. What I would ask them is, even through that, make sure you understand that you're dealing with small businesses, right? You're dealing with companies that are small that need that commitment, and what it would cost you to do that small commitment would make them a difference, would make a monumental difference in their business.
We have one final question from Darren on LinkedIn. How do you feel about esports that we didn't get to talk about that yet? Any relationships on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, we love esports. We did a show integrating with some of the athletes and some of the guys from HBO's Ballers, who has his own gaming team. We did a whole series on that. We have a producer that comes into us weekly, and I have friends of mine who runs another league. We're doing something with racing. We find it great. I mean, you think of the average person playing esports is 41. So it's not as young as everybody thinks. It's a sport. It's something that people are leaning into and have leaned into, and it's something we have to lead into because that's where our audience is.
Lynnwood, thank you so much for joining us. I appreciate you being here.
Yeah. Thank you. This has been fun.
Thank you to our sponsor, Salesforce. And as always, thank you to our Ad Age crew, Arabella Breck, Alfred Mascaroni, Anna Sakula, and Lauren Giardio for making this live stream happen. And thanks everyone for tuning in.